Do the intro.
Alright then. Hello everybody and welcome back. We have another jolly podcast for you. Hopefully it'll be jollier than the last one.
Maybe.
So I'm here as normal and I'm here with Rob.
Hi.
And with Ad.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about lots of subjects. And I'm going to kick things off this week. Because I think you kicked it off one week. Although I think I changed it in the edit. And then you kicked it off.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kick it off. There's only one thing I could possibly talk about. And I'm sorry, Rob. I apologise in advance.
So I've just been running, so I'm going to take a nap, so see you in a bit, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Night, Rob.
So I want to talk about Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 came out on Friday, 14th of March. Which, here's a fact that you guys might not have heard, and I'd never heard of it, but officially, March the 14th was Steak and Blowjob Day.
I'd heard about that.
I knew that.
I'd never heard of it before. I found out about it. I had steak for dinner. I didn't get the blowjob.
I had the steak on Sunday.
No matter how much I asked Rob, he wouldn't do it.
There are standards.
I kid. Yeah, he wouldn't lower himself to somebody like me.
No.
Unfortunately. But I don't know how I've gone off. I'm totally off on a tangent. But anyway, yeah. So Dark Souls 2 came out. I've been playing it most of the weekend. I was playing on it earlier as well.
Until I rudely interrupted.
Yes, I'd came along and it was like, well, I have to stop playing it. Well, to be fair, I'd stopped before I'd come and I was attempting to play on Titanfall, which I also got on Friday. But I'm not going to talk about Titanfall today. I'm talking about Dark Souls 2. And you've just bought it, haven't you, Ad?
Yeah,
But you've
played like an hour. Yeah.
I've put in God knows how many hours. I think it was about 5-6 hours, something like that. I've already uploaded a couple of episodes of it, so you probably have some idea of what my thoughts are. They're not all positive, in fairness. My first reactions were that I didn't particularly like the combat in it. It didn't feel as tight as it does in Dark Souls. The backstab doesn't feel half as satisfying as it does in Dark Souls. The animation for it's very strange because you kind of like nudge them in the back as if to say, I'm about to backstab you, and then you backstab them, and it just never quite feels as satisfying as it does in Dark Souls or in Demon Souls.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Do you think that's because they're trying to make it more mainstream and commercial?
I don't think they are, because I've personally found Dark Souls 2 harder than Dark Souls.
No, I was watching something on Jinx TV and they were doing like a preview of it a few months back, probably one of these gaming conferences and whatnot, and they were saying how the people were worried because they were trying to make it more, branch it out a bit more mainstream.
Yeah.
And there were people and fans were worried that it's going to change the style of the game to make it more appeal to more people. Is that possibly a factor? Do you think?
I don't know about the combat. I know exactly where you're coming from. I know there are some elements where I think that has happened, but I think it still stayed true to it being a challenging game. One of the things that's I think has made it a bit more mainstream is that there's actually a tutorial level which teaches you all the basics that you need.
Yes.
Whereas in Dark Souls, they put you in a room and dropped a big fucking monster on you, and you had to learn the hard way.
But that in a way, that was the perfect tutorial for Dark Souls as it was, because the whole idea about Dark Souls is dying enough to find the way to do it and live. So obviously these bosses are incredibly hard, and in that first instance you have to realise that there's no fight in it. You have to get down that pathway.
Yeah.
And so really that was all the tutorial that it needed, in a sense, I think, and especially for the tone of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I liked the first bit of Dark Souls because the monster dropped down. I absolutely shit myself. I thought, right, I'll try and hit it, and I got hit. I did manage to get a hit on it. Saw the damage I was doing, and I was like, this is no good. And luckily, I was in the position where I could see that there was a door, so I thought I'll try and run through there, and then the rest of the tutorial goes on. Whereas Demon Souls, that also sticks you straight in with a boss, doesn't it? Which you pretty well much have to die to.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be beaten. I'm not that skillful, as anyone that watches my YouTube videos will vouch for, especially Dark Souls 2. I am getting better. The last couple of episodes I've done, I felt like I was starting to get the hang of it. Something me and Ad were talking about earlier as well is the game world, where there's kind of like a central hub, and then each area branches off from that hub. At the moment, because obviously, I mean, between us, we've done less than 10 hours, haven't we? So, that's what it appears to be at the moment for me. Whereas we both really liked the level design in Dark Souls, where every area was kind of interconnected, and you could be in, for example, you were in Tomb of the Giants, and you could see demon ruins down below, which is somewhere where you'd been previously, or you might not have been, depending on the order you did the bosses. Another thing is, I found the parry mechanic not great. I can't say that I've practiced it too much, because I hadn't got a shield for a start. I quite like the fact where, you do certain builds, you don't have a shield. In fact, when I was looking through the builds you could do, or the starting classes, I think there was only a couple that actually had a shield with them.
There was more than one class that was dual wielding weapons.
Yeah,
yeah. Which is interesting, because that wasn't really a viable mechanic in Dark Souls, was it?
No, and this is something that I think is quite interesting, and something I'm looking forward to exploring on another playthrough, is maybe doing some dual wielding. I did kind of think that, because we both picked the same starting class, didn't we? I've done a sorcerer build. The reason I did it was because I thought probably not many YouTubers will be doing a sorcerer build, so it's a little bit different, and I quite like sorcery builds. I certainly enjoyed it on Dark Souls, but I like to do a bit of melee with it as well. So some might say I'm spreading my stats too thin, but I like the best of both worlds, to be honest. And you don't start off with a shield. You've got a catalyst, and you've got some spells, and you've got this shit dagger, which is literally the only weapon that you can wield. And all the shields I've found, couldn't wield any of them because I hadn't got good enough strength. And I don't mind admitting, I have really struggled at the start of Dark Souls 2. Really struggled, as my videos will prove. But I am learning, and I am getting better. I'm starting to backstab more regularly. It does feel totally different, doesn't it?
Definitely. Because you could feel when you were about to backstab in Dark Souls, you knew exactly where you were standing, that you'd get the animation, like every time. It felt reliable. But when I very first started playing it at Dark Souls, and you often feel like you should be getting the backstabs where you weren't.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you get them at an angle that you felt like maybe you shouldn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I've had that happen.
So it doesn't feel as, like you said, it doesn't feel as tight as Dark Souls did, but maybe they're trying to make it feel a little bit more organic, than they've done it in a weird way. I can't pass any kind of judgment having played an hour, but it's just obviously just an initial reaction from...
Yeah, I mean this is... I'm not talking about, a definitive word on Dark Souls, it's just a first impressions chat. And, I'm just expressing my first opinions. Those opinions are changing slowly. The game's starting to get its hooks into me. and that's quite frustrating when I've got guests staying the weekend, so I can't play on the damn thing. But yeah, it's been quite a steep learning curve, which I was expecting, but I thought because of my experience of playing Dark Souls, I would be better equipped and I would be better prepared for it, and quite simply I wasn't. And it's, I mean, well, the first achievement I got was called "This is Dark Souls," and I got that because I died. I thought that was a nice touch. I actually died before I got to the tutorial area, which was quite hilarious. I got picked on by a group of evil-looking monkeys.
Well, you did pick on them first.
Well, yeah, I kind of started the fight, and I was doing quite well until the guy's mates turned up, and yeah, that didn't end well. One nice little touch we were talking about as well that I quite like is obviously if you start off in human form, then when you die you go hollow. The more times you die, it takes a little bit of health off you, so your maximum health gets less and less, and you have to burn human effigies to get back to being human. So it's kind of replaced humanity in a way and made it a bit more important.
That's an interesting point, actually.
One of the things I quite like is the more you die, the more dishevelled your character looks. And my character, I chose a blonde ponytailed woman.
Oh, like your old one in Dark Souls. Yeah,
He
was a priest build, do you remember? With the
that was on the PS3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
God, those were the days. Oh, I'm a PS3 man. It's still there, just sat on the side. I don't want to get rid of it.
Oh,
It's an ornament now.
Yeah.
It's and the more dishevelled I got, the shorter her hair got, and at one point she looked pretty damn rough, really, really rough, and that was when I was like, yeah, I better burn a human effigy because I got hardly any health. So that's a nice, interesting dynamic. I can't really comment on the multiplayer stuff as such. I haven't been invaded yet so far, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
I haven't summoned anyone, and I probably won't summon anyone on my first playthrough unless me and Ad are having a Dark Souls night.
Well, which this is like not really podcast material, but are we going to start new characters to do that? Obviously, because you'll be recording on them, aren't you?
That would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Rob agrees.
Rob's going to buy it and join us.
Do you remember when we were playing the original and Rob had it for like a week and we got invaded in the depths?
Yeah.
And me and you just scarpered down a thing and Rob was like, yeah.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. You weren't our friends after that, were you, Rob?
No. We weren't our few friends when you first got into Dark Souls.
Yeah, we got into Dark Souls and Rob started to fall out of love with us. Because he doesn't like Dark Souls, but we can't all like the same things. There was one more thing I was going to say about Dark Souls 2 before we moved on, and for the life of me I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, I was on about the multiplayer. The messaging system's really cool where you can message instantly. I'm walking into areas and there's just blood stains everywhere of people where they've died. Which is highly amusing. I've tried to leave as many helpful messages down as I possibly can because I like to think that we're all sharing in the same grief of trying to get through this game world. And talking to another couple of my friends that have got Dark Souls 2 as well, they've kind of pointed a few things out to me that, or given me some advice, or kind of hinted. Because I've said, for example, no, I won't say it because that probably hasn't got to that bit. But did you find a guy sat under a tree?
Yeah, I didn't get to talk to him. I didn't try and mess with him either, so I didn't fancy it.
Yeah, you can't talk to him at all. I tried talking to him. I tried talking to him, and I was like, yeah, but you can. And they sort of said, well, you can lock onto him.
Yeah, I
And I
noticed
was
that.
like, that's interesting. So I went back and kicked his ass today. And I don't think I was recording when I did it. But yeah, it's, you know, there's still some good little secrets in there. There seems to be a lot more dead ends, and I think the last thing I want to say about Dark Souls 2 is it reminds me more of Demon Souls than it does Dark Souls.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the exact same first impression,
Yeah.
even just booting it up, the way that the characters look. Because my second randomly generated character, because I screwed up the first one. Do you remember Pierre, my Demon Souls character?
Yeah,
He had a kind of Pierre look about him, and that just set the tone for me straight away. Which was a stereotypical looking Frenchman. I think I've got a picture somewhere.
Yeah, I remember we were sending pictures of each other's avatars from Demon Souls, weren't we?
Yeah.
So I tried to make mine look like Dante from Devil May Cry. But it was reasonably successful. That's the proper Dante, not the new, looks like a chav on a street corner Dante, by the way. But yeah, so, you know, you will see my progress through Dark Souls. You will be able to share my whole experience of Dark Souls 2, because I will be recording pretty well much every minute of it, which is going to make for some really boring episodes, I'm not going to lie. But oh my god, have I been wound up at times. But yeah, I'm getting to the point where it's starting to sink its claws into me, and yes, we shall be having a Dark Souls night soon, won't we?
Yes.
So yeah, that's Dark Souls 2. Who wants? What have you got to talk about today?
I haven't really percolated the question into something that's I can ask, but I wanted to talk about games retailing, because I know Rob has a lot of interaction with games on a retail level. You use a lot of different physical brick and mortar shops, don't you?
Yeah, yes.
What do you think? What is the future for gaming retail for you? Do you think it has a future, or do you think like these companies are going to try like they did with this generation to maybe squeeze the margins that they have on used games?
Well, okay. I'm a little confused. What do you think? It's going digital, or just?
Well, obviously there's more and more options. They're going to start offering different channels of retailing, that different channels of getting games that aren't necessarily to do with retail shops.
I still think retail and physical discs are still going to be around for a long time, because I think a lot of people, including myself, and I think you're the same, aren't you, Brooke? You want the physical thing.
Yes.
You don't want a downloadable digital copy of something. It's like a movie. I want the DVD or Blu-ray on my shelf.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it's just kind of the bit of a collector in me, but I want a hard copy. I want to put the disc in the drive when I've bought it for a game, and I think a lot of people are like that. Okay, so there are certain high street retailers that charge full whack for games, and when you can get them cheaper online, so I feel like high street shops may decline. But I still think it will be a thriving business online, because you can get them a lot cheaper. Because as you said, I look around and I always, find the bargains and the codes to get cheaper games from, on the websites. I don't pay full price.
Yeah.
I haven't played over 40 quid for a next gen game so far, so I don't plan on it. So in that respect, I think there will still have physical copies, but more online rather than high streets, because there's only a couple of places. With the pre-owned, I think as you saw from E3 and all the conferences last year, when Microsoft announced their pre-owned was not allowed on their console, and all the outcry, I'm pretty sure pre-owned will be around for a very long time. For now, they're not going to patch it on consoles. But I think it is a very important thing. Pre-owned games, like with the first thing. Everyone wants a physical disc because they don't want to keep games forever. Why you want to pay 40, 50 quid, which is the digital price of games, for a game like, say, Rise. Yeah, I haven't played Rise, so I don't really know, but I heard it's not particularly the best Xbox One game. But 5 hours long, people aren't going to play that over and over and over. They'll want to play it, trade it in, and get something else.
Mm-hmm.
Get Assassin's Creed, get Titanfall, Dead Rising, and use that money, and then instead of keeping it forever and just, so pre-owned games is still going to be there. I did hear that Microsoft's Xbox One Slim won't have a disc tray, and it will have a larger memory, 1 terabyte, I think is what I heard. Anyway, it'll only be digital, no disc tray. I think Microsoft are definitely trying to push more to digital. But what do you think? I'll stop talking so I can breathe.
No, it's fine. I had plenty. I was talking plenty before.
But what's your opinion, Barack?
Yeah, I think as far as retail shops go, the only. I always remember when I was first at college, so I'd have been like 16, 17, 18, and me and my mates, we used to go into Great Worley to the local shop. There was a place called Computer Bits that was like an independent retailer, and it was fantastic. You got to know the guy that was behind there, and you'd be talking about all the games, and he actually had show me age, he had a PlayStation set up, and he was quite happy for you to try any game that you wanted. And it was a good thing that he did that, because there were some games that I wouldn't have bought unless I'd tried. Future Cop LAPD is the one that springs to mind. I went in there, I was like, oh, I can have a go on this. He was like, yeah, and I walked out of the shop with my own copy. And it's really disappointing that in our local area I can't think of a single independent shop like that still has survived.
Well, there's not many anywhere really.
No, there aren't, and it's a real shame, because I like to go into a game shop and I like to look on the back of the covers, and I like to talk to the staff in there. I think we're quite lucky in Lichfield that our local game has actually got some decent guys that work in there. Most of them have worked in there a long time, so we know each other on a kind of customer retailer.
I say the same with me in Citizen. Then I walk in there, they know me, get the VIP treatment and everything.
Well, no, yeah, you're always chatting away to me. I'll go in there and I'll have a bit of a chat, but that's it. Unless it's one of the lads that I know that I talk to quite a bit and probably get him into trouble. So I'm sorry about that, Nathan. But what can you do? And with game, I think the issue that I have with game is that you walk in there and you see an Xbox One or a PS4 game, and they're usually charging £55 for it. You go online and you can usually find it for 40 quid.
Yeah.
45 quid
exactly.
At worst. I can't see how game can compete with that. But then I do know that there are people that will just go in game and will pay that price, and they won't pay
John
twice
Walker.
about it. And if that's what they want to do, it's their money, fair enough. But I'm like Rob. I like to find my game bargains.
So it might sound like I'm a tight bastard, but I still refuse to pay more than 40 quid for a game, whether or not it's on next gen or not. And well, as I said before, so far I haven't had to. So,
I mean, if it's a game that I really, really want, like, sorry to bring it up again, but Dark Souls 2, I bought the collector's edition. But I think on Shop 2 it was like 100 quid.
Yeah.
Or near enough 100 quid when I looked. Then I went on Amazon, 62 quid. Which one am I going to buy it from? To be honest, it was a bit of squeaky bum time when I was thinking, am I actually going to get it on release day? But thankfully they did pull it out the bag and I got it delivered on release day. So that was a big relief.
I got something from Amazon yesterday on a Sunday, which was meant to come out today, which I was quite chuffed.
Really?
Yeah. The doorbell rang on yesterday morning on Sunday, and I was like, oh, we got a parcel for you. I was like, what? I was like,
Yeah, I think they've started doing their own deliveries, you know, because it was it didn't say that it was being delivered by a company, but it was
it's
said
just
it
a
was
courier.
being
Just one of those
delivered
like
by
in their own
Amazon.
car, like this woman in a red car. That just
Yeah,
the
I
car
thi- I
was
think-
full of parcels.
I think they actually work for Amazon, and they're just because I mean I've complained a lot of times to Amazon about couriers that they've used and the delivery companies they use, Parcel Force, that are completely inept and can't even manage to get DVD sized disc through a letterbox, and you know I've been frustrated, and so I was quite pleased with the fact I actually got it on release. As long as these companies online keep delivering the games when you want them, then
And the good
you
thing
know,
of that
it's-
is sometimes you get them early.
well you
Oh.
do, yeah.
What did I've got. I got Thief a day early.
Yeah,
I got
I got Rayman Legends a day early.
I got a game. I got a game in January. I got that 2 days early. I was quite happy with that when I came in from work.
Whereas you know at Game, they have like these midnight releases, and you know
Sleep time.
when you get to like my age, I'm 33.
45.
Yeah. And you know, I want to be in bed at a reasonable time, and that's it. You know, I mean, I could go there, pick up the game, I'll get back, and I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna have to go to bed. You know, that's just what happens when you get older as a gamer. I think those sort of things lose a bit of importance.
You heard of that guy that's max rank on Titanfall?
Yes, I saw something on
In 4
Twitter
days.
about it. Less than, yeah, it took him like 3 days and 9 hours or something.
Yeah. I was like,
And I'm sorry, but you know,
I wish I had that much free time.
yeah, I can't think of any period in my life where I spent that much time playing video games. I think, you know, but to go back onto what we were talking about at retail, I think Game are gonna struggle if they keep their prices as
Yes.
high as they are. Yes, they've got to cover the rental costs of the shop. Always bugs me that it's cheaper online to buy them.
Yeah.
So-
Because I get stuff from the website normally. 'Cause
Well,
it's
yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, there's no point in going into Game and buying a £55 game that you can get for 45. I mean, I look on there and there's 2 games that I got from Game. Well, from my Xbox One. Rise, which was pre-owned, $39.99, and I traded in games to be able to pay for it. And Assassin's Creed did the same thing, traded in games so that I could get it. Yeah, it was 55 quid, but when I had a pile of games that I'm never going to play on again, took those in and exchanged them, and I think it ended up costing me like 6 quid. Then I don't mind. So,
But it's saying like
but where are Game making their money from there? Are they really going to sell on a copy of
exactly, especially
FIFA 13?
Whereas-
You know, they're going to get about 50p for it, isn't
yeah.
they?
Well, the same with the trading things. Games trading prices aren't particularly very good. Like I've looked at like because you can look on the website and see how much stuff is, and you look and like you look at Titanfall. If you trade in Titanfall now, you get 20 quid. 20 quid what you get trading for it. It's like straight away it's like less than half. And it's like, whereas like what I use CEX, which are coming a lot bigger now, and spreading out across the country. Trade it in now about 40 quid. And it's like obviously the game will match it as well. Obviously there isn't one in Litchfield, but one by me, which is lucky. And get game to match my price at CEX, or normally you can get cash for your games at CEX. You normally get more than you would at trading a game, which obviously is will have a knock-on effect at Game as well.
Well, it will do. I mean, CEX is exclusively second-hand as well, isn't it? Everything in there that you can buy is second-hand.
It's like, why would you if you had a CEX in Litchfield, right, and you had a choice, you could get 35 quid cash or 20 quid trade in a game. You get the cash, 35 quid, and get the game cheaper online, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Mm.
And then, so Game are gonna. I think Game. They need to. I think I've got a horrible feeling. I don't want it to happen because I do like to go into my local Game. It's not. There's not knobheads working in there. There's plenty of knobheads that go in there, but they don't work there. The guys that work there are great. And I wouldn't like to see it get shut down. And also, you know, I've got a mate that works in there, and I wouldn't want to see him without a job. So I kind of hope Game realise that, hang on, we need to be more competitive. And it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. Because the flip side of it as well is that you can go to a supermarket, like Tesco, well, the local Morrison's is shit, but the local Tesco is one of the real big ones.
Yeah.
And you can get all the new releases in there.
The Sainsbury's has Titanfall for 45 quid.
I got mine for 37 in the end, you know.
Is it?
Yeah, because this is another great thing about online. I pre-ordered it at £42 because it was the cheapest I could find. The price went down to 37, but because I pre-ordered it, they charged me the lowest price that it went to.
Because I did that with Shop 2. One of the games I pre-ordered there, it's gone down 4 quid already. I'm like, sweet, it doesn't come out for another 3 weeks. I was like, keep going down.
You know, it's another advantage of online, and also you don't have to. You know, it can come to your front door, or I always have it delivered to my workplace because you know it's just easier for me.
But saying that, one thing with that is, I don't know if this is a big thing, but you know, the only thing I have against online is that I actually like to go out and purchase it. I don't like come to the door. I like to, you know, go out and actually physically buy it with my hands over the till and then take it home. I don't know really, you know. It's kind of a weird thing, but I do actually just like going out and physically buying it.
No, I totally agree where you're coming from, and that's why I feel bad that there aren't enough independent game shops around, because I wouldn't mind paying a couple of extra quid in an independent game shop. That would be fine with me. It's when, you know, you're paying an extra 10 quid just to some corporate knobheads that I personally would rather my money went to someone that was working harder for their money than the executives at Game. I mean, the people that work in the shop, certainly in my local one, you know, they earn their money. And, you know, I wouldn't want to see them without a job, but at the same time, I'm not willing to spend my hard-earned cash paying more for something that I can get much cheaper elsewhere. Anyway, you haven't said a lot about your own subject, have you, Ed? So we'll let you talk.
Well, I was just going to mention as well, obviously, while we were talking about games, you notice that they've started doing like trading on devices as well, like phones and tablets and stuff. I mean, obviously, there's that's reaching for a revenue stream there, isn't it?
Because they're opening their own stores that do just that, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that's probably a sign of the times as much as it is like Games' financial troubles. But do you remember when they were like, it was 99% certain that Game were going to fold? Do you remember all the employees wearing their own clothes?
Yeah.
Wasn't that around an issue where they couldn't afford to pay for the original discs to sell in their shops?
Yes, they didn't have, because apparently they buy the games on credit.
Yeah.
They buy the games on credit, and then obviously if they don't have enough credit, they can't get the games, so they can't sell them. Because I know there's a number of games that were coming out around that time, and I couldn't get them from Game, so I had to get them from somewhere else. Which is great, because when I traded them in after I used them, I got a ridiculously high price because I didn't sell any copies of them. I got like 40 quid I think I got nearly 40 quid for Yakuza Dead Souls because I didn't have a single copy, and like they had like 2 copies in the whole country in Game. So I was like, sweet.
Wasn't it was it like Super Street Fighter 4 or something?
Yeah.
They didn't stock that. I seem to remember it was Capcom. And I remember going into Game and I felt like a vulture just picking off the carcass, you know. But when I picked up a limited edition Dark Souls for 20 quid, you know, I was I wasn't complaining.
Because they weren't going to have Mass Effect 3, weren't they?
That's it.
That was
yeah,
the big one.
That
Yeah.
was the big
blow.
one because I think I was actually going to get Mass Effect 3 from Game because it was just more. I don't know. For some reason, I'm sure I was going to get it from Game, and then I heard that they weren't going to be
That obviously took a
stocking
big
it.
blow.
So I ended up getting it from online.
Well, the thing is, what saved... I think I was talking to my friend Damon at work a while ago, and I think what saved Game, well, for now, is Next Gen. If I think Next Gen came out, say, this November, they'll probably be in a worse state, because I think Next Gen have saved them a bit. Because obviously a lot of people have brought the consoles from
Because
Game.
the thing is, they're not overcharging for the consoles,
No.
you know. One thing that annoyed me with Game was that people were going there to buy the console and then they were getting pressured. Well, from what I hear, they were certainly getting the hard sell of, oh well, you need to have warranty on the game's console for 2 years, and you need to have an extra controller so you can play with your friends. And
I got that when I pre-ordered my PS4.
yeah, and it's like, would you like to, you want to buy a game as well and all the rest of it.
I think it's obviously, not to big myself up, but as I say, I ain't no fool. I look around, I know what's going on. So I'm like, they can talk their bullshit as much as they like to me. It's moving, but like obviously, people that maybe buying it for the kids' parents, buying it for the kids, they don't really know. They don't know all these gaming websites you can get cheaper games. They just go into the game and just like, like, oh, you have a second controller so you can play with his friends. Like, oh, okay, then I'll have a second controller so he can play with his brother. Oh, I'll get this game, and I heard that Call of Duty's really good. Oh, I'll get Call of Duty. Oh, Battlefield's really good as well. Oh yeah, you need a football game. Oh, you need a racing game as well. Oh, I'll get Need for Speed. Before they know it, it's like £800, and they don't really, and I think they need all this stuff.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of that because especially with they've refurbed the game in Lichfield, haven't they?
They have.
I think even before that, there was a lot of eye-level purchases for children. Do you remember, like the little toys and Pokemon cards and all this stuff?
Yeah.
And I think that may be the case because there's a whole genre of films that are like knockoffs. It's like Transmorphers. Did you ever see that one?
Transmorphers.
And
it was probably better than Transformers film anyway.
I think like what Rob's saying is like that stuff is there to try and catch people who don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So like someone like Rob walking into a game knows what he's looking for, so he's not going to pay these prices. And I think like you were saying about having a local game shop, they wouldn't do that because the local game shop would be run by... I'm not saying Game isn't run by gamers, but their prices aren't dictated by gamers.
Well, it's not run by gamers, but gamers work.
Yeah, gamers work in there.
Certainly,
Yeah.
I mean, when we're talking about gaming in general, I don't really class the Lichfield one in it because I think there's some. I know there's some good guys that work in there, and I like to talk to some of them, and they, the ones that worked in there a long time, they know not to give me the hard sell.
Yeah.
But it annoys me when it's when they have a new member of staff, and they always come up to me and like, anything I can help you with today? No, I'm fine, I'm just looking. Whereas the others, they'll just come in, oh, you're right, mate, how you do?
Yeah.
And they'll leave me alone because they know I know what I'm looking for. I mean, there have been times where I've had to correct members of staff. I mean, I remember it was going back a while ago, but there was this young lad who worked in there, and I think 3 times he'd asked me if I needed any help. I don't think he realised I was the same person. And he'd asked me, and he was really getting on my tits. And then he started trying to... This guy was talking to him, and he was like, he likes third-person shooters, but he doesn't like first-person shooters because he gets seasick from the motion.
Yeah.
He gets motion sickness. So fair enough. And this kid is trying to tell him that Rainbow Six Vegas is a third-person shooter. And I had to just step in there, and I just was like, "Look, I'm sorry, I can't let you buy that." I says it's not a third-person shooter. I explained it's a first-person shooter, but when you go into cover, it goes into third person. But the rest of the time, it's in first person. So I don't think it's the game for you.
Yeah.
And this kid was kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, I really thought it was a third person shooter. He hadn't got a clue what he was on about. And it was quite funny as well because I get to hear about games I would never hear about normally because I read Metro Game Central. And one of the guys, there was this lad came in and I was just browsing through. And one of the guys was talking to him. He's like, oh, you're alright, you're alright. And he's like, so what, are you in for anything in particular? He was like, yeah. He's like, I'll know the game when I see it, but I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure it's got P4 in the title. And this guy was like, P4? And they're out in the back looking through the books. And I was just kind of like, P4? And I was like, he's on about that Persona 4 Arena game. Like, Persona 4 Arena. He's like, yeah, that's the one. And the guy was like, oh, it's alright, he's got it. We'll have a look, and he was like, have a look in the list for you, will you? See if there's a copy. And I was just looking across the shelf, and I just went, yeah. And the guy that works in there, he was like, bloody hell, do you want a job here? And I said, I'll tell you what, you match my wages and I'll come and work here. He was like, well, unless your wages are minimum wage, I don't think you got much chance.
Ouch.
So, but it's quite interesting and it's quite funny. But yeah, I would love to have an independent game shop as well.
Yeah.
Something I think is really, really missing, especially from my fond memories of computer bits. And if by some miracle anybody listening to this remembers computer bits in Great Whirly, definitely give us a comment. So, are we done on retail?
I think we're done on retail.
Is there anything that you would like to talk about, Rob? I thought you were inching towards an interesting one. Digital and
yeah,
what's it? Physical copies of games, and that's something I've got strong opinions about.
Yeah, well, let's go with that. Let's go. Let's do that shit.
So, well, you want me to go with it then?
Well, no. I've kind of said my opinion.
I'll be the opposing player in this game. I don't have many physical discs.
The devil's advocate.
The devil's advocate. There we go. That was the one I was reaching for.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things that can be often overlooked with this, and it's again, we go into the price. You go on PSN, you go on Xbox Live, you look up for a retail game, and usually it's like 50 quid.
Yeah, it's full whack.
It's 59, 99,
60 quid.
Sometimes it is 60 quid, isn't it? Whereas you can have a digital copy, a physical copy, you can have a physical copy.
20 quid cheaper.
20 quid cheaper. It's a no-brainer. Now, if digital copies were less than physical copies, I would probably be more inclined to lean towards getting a digital one. I mean, I have digital copies of games. On my Xbox One, I've got FIFA 14, which I hardly play on, in all fairness, because it really pisses me off. And I've also got Forza 5, and the reason I got that was because I got it with the console.
Yeah.
So, I don't mind in that sense that those are digital copies, whereas, for example, I hate to bring it up again, but for example, Dark Souls, I would want a physical copy, especially the fact that with a digital copy, there is no way you would get a fucking shit-hot looking knight statue like I got with my collector's edition of Dark Souls 2. So, it's always nicer to have something physical, but I'm not advert. I mean, when Microsoft was saying that they were going to turn the Xbox One all digital and everything, that was it. I wasn't interested in the console at all, and I was PS4 all the way. It didn't matter what games come out for it, I was going to go PS4. But, Microsoft realised they're a bunch of fucking idiots. changed their minds.
Did the 180 for the 60th time.
They did the 180 and the 180, and they made the Xbox 360. and, anyway, they changed their minds, and I think there's been a lot said about that, but I think to turn around and say, all right then,
yes,
if that's what you want, then that's what we would do.
Definitely,
for you.
I agree with that. I give them a lot of respect for actually listening to what the consumers actually want.
And you've got to give credit to Sony, because if they hadn't have stood by their guns, then that
next gen would be looking a lot different these days.
Well, it would, yeah, it would. So I'm thoroughly happy with my Xbox One with its physical discs.
But obviously, as I said before, but I do say the rumoured the Microsoft Slim, whatever it's going to be called, the next Xbox One version console is going to be white, have a terabyte hard drive, and will not have a disc tray.
Yeah, I heard this, and I also heard that it would be something like $200. I think was the rumour.
Was it?
And one of the main arguments was that people didn't think that the disc tray was worth $240 or however much. It's kind of like, well, they're only taking the disc tray out. That's adding a few drivers for it and all the rest of it. It's not going to be a mass expense on there, is it? In fact, you'd think the terabyte hard drive would put the price back up. So
I didn't see a price on the thing, but
there's a lot of funny rumours that go around, and I think that is one. I mean, there was pictures of that Titanfall Xbox One console that was being rumoured. Didn't see the light of day. If it didn't come out when the game came out, it's not going to come out.
Well, obviously, Microsoft with the digital prices, they did bring. They said they're bringing some games down. I read the article a few weeks ago. They said Rise was one, and the trial basis to see how it sold.
I think
see how it sold by bringing the price down lower to see how digital copies pricing is.
Yeah, I mean they did that, and I would have fair play to them for doing that, but for it to be a proper test, they would have to do it at launch.
Yes, not
so
like
when the game
4 months
launches.
afterwards.
No, because most Xbox One owners will have played through the other games and would have probably gone for Rise,
especially with the
as a
drought.
bit of filler. Yeah, because there was nothing between launch and and now we've got Titanfall and we've got Second Son on PS4 coming out, so then we're going to have another drought by the looks of things. That's fine with me. I don't mind droughts. I've got plenty of games to be
There's quite
playing.
a few games coming out in April, May and June.
When's Second Son out?
Next Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Sweet.
There's
You might have an excuse to turn your PS4 on.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that.
there was a fair few games coming out in April, May and June. Well, for a very...
To be honest, the two I was most excited about came out on Friday. So.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm just saying. Like there's I only just recently saw it, but have you seen it? Bound by Flame.
No, I've not even heard of that.
That rings a bell.
It's on PS3, PS4, PC, and 360. No Xbox One, for some random reason. But hey ho.
Really?
Yeah.
It's on PS4 and Xbox 360, but that's just an odd
Yeah,
one.
they said they're not, and they said the developers and publishers said there are no plans for the Xbox One version. So clearly, okay. But it's sort of like a fantasy RPG sort of thing. Apparently, people that have played it have compared it to Skyrim, which has got me quite excited because Skyrim was fucking awesome. But it actually kind of looks quite cool. I've seen a few videos. That comes out in April. I just heard about it the other day. And this starts kind of like coming around quite quickly.
Oh, actually, I think I have. I think I did hear of. I think I have heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 game. Big seller there. Big title.
Yeah, I saw a gameplay trailer of it, and it looked like a Xbox 360 PS3 game from the graphics, and I think that they'd used the next gen consoles to sell it, so
Of
that it
course.
look better. And if that's what the next gen consoles look like, then I'd worry what the current gen look like.
I know, yeah.
But I mean, I had the first Amazing Spider-Man, and
It was alright for
was
about
all-
halfway.
Yeah, it was alright, and then it just got a bit monotonous. But for me, Spider-Man games peaked with Spider-Man 2 on the old PS2 and Xbox. It was a quality game, that was.
But
So,
you got Lego Hobbit as well.
so obviously you've got a gaming PC, so I completely understand why you would have more digital games because of the greatness that is Steam.
Yeah.
And I remember a time when everyone hated Steam.
That's
It was
exactly
like
right.
you would rather be spat in the face than have to use Steam, and everybody loathed it so much. And I just remember it's like, God damn Steam! I can't get my game, blah blah, and all this. And now it's turned into such a great thing. I think gamers in general are too quick to kind of like criticise stuff instantly.
They don't like change, do they?
Yeah, they don't like change, and then when the change isn't what they want the change to be, then they honestly, sometimes I am a bit ashamed to say that I'm a gamer when I see some things. I mean, there's some people who've been writing into Game Central basically complaining that Titanfall isn't the game that they imagined it was in their minds. It's like, trying to make out that they'd lied about everything. Lied that it wasn't going to have a single player campaign. I was never under any impression that there was going to be a single player campaign in Titanfall. And these people, I think they've got a few people raised the point. Are they not getting getting it confused with Destiny? I think that's certainly a possibility.
Or people are just telling the wrong information from game.
Yeah.
People that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry, Ad.
Yeah. Steam.
So I think what happened with Steam is people still hate what Steam was originally. It's digital rights management, because what it is essentially is that's trying to stop piracy, and I think what the downloads on consoles were trying to stop was the second-hand trading market. So there's two different things that they're trying to stop, and they've tried to play the same card of punishing users that are legitimately trying to buy games and use them, because it's Steam originally, obviously, and DRM for other games, like they had some on Assassin's Creed 3 for the the PC. And if you weren't, and SimCity is another great example. I don't know if you've read anything about that on Game Central, but it's a single player game that if your internet drops, it boots you off the game.
Yeah,
And it's just
there was a
absolute
massive
madness.
fuss kicked up about that.
Yeah. And the only reason that Steam is actually like now is because it's still DRM, but they just offer so many upsides, like the integrated friend system, the store, which has absolutely amazing sales on. Like, for example, I saw on the Steam homepage last week the Stick of Truth for $39.99, and that was the first time I've ever seen anything on that Steam page that would be comparable to buying a retail copy.
Normally,
in a store.
I see the sales like on an headline article. It's like £2, and it's like one of a big major game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? If I only played PC games.
It is incredible. Like the stuff that I've picked up. Like, do you remember? Oh, it's the one set in Dubai.
Spec Ops.
Spec Ops: The Line. I was after that for ages, and then you just happen to look one day, and there it is for £5. And you know, there's no. It's like for obviously for trading games, for them to fall down to that low, they've got to be a very old game.
No, of course.
Or it's going to be like a really badly damaged box, which then's ruining the idea of you collecting.
You
those,
kept
if that
having the
makes
box,
sense.
yeah.
But you don't really get the box. But there's every single game I've ever bought since about 2006. It's just there in my library, and I can download it at any time, and you can't lose it.
Yeah.
The only disadvantage is you can't trade it in, but when you paid £5 to £10
£5
for it in the
you
first
don't.
place, you don't really mind.
Yeah, and I think that's where, you know, if I had a PC that was capable of running, you know, Microsoft Word, let alone anything else.
Do you know that PC you've got is the laptop I had in 6th form?
No, I know, yeah. But I've still got that laptop. But, you know, I can record my YouTube commentaries on there,
Yeah,
no
that's what it
problem.
is.
So it does the job for me, and I can get on the internet. But you know, I mean, I did look into getting. I was thinking about getting a gaming PC instead of a next gen console. But I just kind of, I don't know. I've always been a console gamer. I had a brief dabble with PC gaming when I was. God, how old would I have been? Probably about 13, 14, 15. And my dad had just bought like a pretty, he bought a Pentium. It was like the next, it was like the dog's bollocks at the time.
Yeah.
A Pentium. And, I bought some games for it, and I literally had nothing but hassle every time I tried to play on them. And unfortunately, that, I know it's not like that these days. It's certainly not as bad. And if I was a PC gamer, I tell you one thing that really pisses me off is these fucking PC gamers that call themselves the master race. And I just think, really.
I think saying that you're better than anyone else in any context is a bit of a dickish thing to say, really.
Well, it is, yeah. I mean, because it doesn't make the games any better, really, does it? It's just has nicer graphics.
I think what it is as well is that PC gamers in general are pretty much the out group. So a majority of gamers are console gamers. And I won't lie, you will probably miss out on something unless you've got a dedicated group of PC gamer friends if you don't have a console.
Yeah.
Because the majority of people that you meet, like if you have work friends or whatever, just casual acquaintances that you want to jump on a game with, they're pretty much guaranteed, depending on where you work, that they won't have a gaming PC.
No.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people who are PC gamers have been PC gamers from way back when it was a lot cheaper to be playing on a PC, because you could run Counter-Strike on just a desktop that you've bought from PC World, like just to run your Word stuff on. You could run all this stuff, but if you want to run even some of the indie titles now, because of how much procedural generation there is and how much how big the maps are and what they're doing in these games, the graphics aren't the best, but because of what's underneath it and what that's running, you can. I don't think you're going to get away with spending less than £700 these days, and that for a lot of people is a big barrier to entry.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I was looking into it. I was, researching what sort of components I'd need, because I can quite happily build a PC myself. I know how to do that. I studied it at college. I know how to the insides and outsides of a PC, but when I was researching all these things, it was like, just for example, your graphics card, you'd find one and it'd get loads of reviews, and then someone would be like, well, no, this card's better, and then you'd look at that one, and then they'd put you to another card and another card. You can spend like up to £300 just on a bloody graphics card.
And I think that's one of the problems, because when you look at this one component that is in your hand like this, and then you look and you can get a PlayStation for the same price that's just going to run games, no hassle, you don't have to build it, don't have to maintain it, it's not going to go wrong in the sense that it's something that you're going to have to investigate. Like if it goes wrong, it's going to be an issue that is documented on the internet.
Yeah.
But there's nobody else in the world, if you build a computer that has your computer, it is entirely unique. Unless there is the instance where somebody happens to buy the same things, but it's not going to be. They're not going to find forums with like a Yahoo answer for your exact specification. It's never going to be the case.
No, but when I priced everything up because I was thinking, well, I could build a PC for £500 that would match the power of the what was the next gen, now the current gen consoles, but I would want it future proofed.
Which is something you can't ask for in PC games.
Exactly, yeah. I would, I don't want to match what the consoles could do. I want to exceed them. But until those genuinely next generation games come out, how do you know what spec PC you're going to need?
Absolutely.
You don't. And for me personally, it's not my cup of tea. I'm a console gamer, I always will be. And for all those that think that you're the master race, yeah, that's why you don't have a girlfriend.
It's because if they were probably play consoles, if they could play WoW on it.
Play what?
WoW.
Oh, World Wow.
Wow, terrible generalisation.
Sorry. World of Warcraft.
Yeah. No, nobody is the master race.
World of Warcraft's so outdated now. Don't think there's anybody who actually seriously considers himself a gamer that plays that.
I don't know anyone that plays it or has played it.
It's dead as a dodo. I played it a long time ago. I didn't really get very far because I hate grindy games. I get bored very quickly. That's why I like the playing on the PC games, because you have these short indie titles that have a certain unique selling point. You explore that for however long the game lasts, and then you can drop it like a stone, and that's perfect for me. Cause
I was going to say that's perfect for you
because I haven't really got a massive attention span for games in general.
When was what was the last game you actually completed? The Stanley Parable.
I don't think you can. I've died, but I don't think you can complete it.
Can't you complete it?
I don't know.
Like Dark Souls?
Maybe I completed it then.
He's not completed Dark Souls.
I haven't beat Quinn.
Right.
I got to that bit and then started playing online loads. I'm a very faddy based person. I do a lot of fads. Either that, or I've got to find something that I can be competitive at. That's the other thing that keeps me hooked.
Yeah.
Or you find a really, really short game.
Or like something that we play together. Like if I can can talk to someone about it, or we can play it together, then I'm entitled to play it. Can't think of the word. I'm more likely to play that game for a longer length of time.
Yeah.
But I still find myself doing it, which is why I'm recently trying to stop myself from playing games as much as possible. I don't know where my time goes, to be honest. I don't really get to catch up with my TV shows, don't watch a hell of a lot of movies.
Tell me about it.
Much to Rob's distaste.
Yeah, because I got no one to talk to about stuff. Because no one else watches the good stuff.
I want a Virgin box.
So you can not watch it.
Yeah, probably just fill it up and never watch any of it.
Then my mind was just filthy when you said that.
Well, if there's one
A
going.
box full of versions. I haven't watched that.
That's about all I can think of off the top of my head.
I was just saying, like, you know...
But I thought who was it that did First Class now?
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn, yeah. I thought he'd done such a incredible job with that film, his direction of that film. I thought it was he wasn't doing Xmen.
Because Bryan Singer's doing the sequel as well, Apocalypse.
Yes, and then apparently they're doing a sequel to the Wolverine after that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the same with Apocalypse.
The
original X-Men from the original trilogy is not in Apocalypse at all.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I am sad, but I like the original X cast. You know, they have the Storm, Cyclops is.
Cyclops was always ruined in the X-Men films for me.
But you know, like they have the characters. It's like, you know, they're all the big name, the famous,
the ones that you know, the ones that everyone knows.
You know, the ones you wanna see more, and they're just cutting them out of all the films now. And it's just kind of like, okay, so yeah, you're not gonna put them.
I mean, I'm assuming that X-Men Apocalypse. I haven't really looked into this, but I'm assuming that that's going to be based on the villain Apocalypse.
Yes.
And from what I remember of that, all those years ago when I actually read comics, was that, you know, the main X-Men players play big parts in that as well. You know, like Cyclops and your Jean Grey and your Wolverine and your Beast. And
as far as because obviously Apocalypse is the very first mutant ever. This is as far as I haven't read comics in my life, so this is what I know from TV shows and games and so on and so forth. He was the first mutant, strongest mutant. Obviously, the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse, he turned real X-Men into them. But apparently in different alliterations, it's been different horsemen.
Yeah.
Because I know Gambit was one of the horsemen. He had like long white hair. I remember that. But then apparently someone told me that Bishop and Warpath, who were in Days of Future Past, were also two of the horsemen as well. But you know, in different literations, it's different X-Men
Yeah.
that are the horsemen. So obviously, Bryan Singer's just going to choose whichever ones he wants. But as I say, I don't. That's like 2 years away. So I'm, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I can't wait to see the film. I hope it's, you know, up with the heights of X-Men 2 and X-Men First Class.
And the Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll be up there with the Avengers. Well, I thought First Class was damn close to being up there with the Avengers. I really enjoyed that film.
Banshee ruined the film for me.
Oh yeah, you didn't like him, did you? No. Yeah, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Anyway.
Oh no, I'm still can't. You know, I can't wait to fucking see the film. But you know, I'm just.
It makes me wonder though that he must have shot a lot of stuff because there's stuff with Rogue that has been shot.
Yes.
There must be more stuff with Storm that's been shot.
Well, apparently, this is what confused me in the article. The article said that she's been cut out of the film. She has one scene and one line in the film now, due to her pregnancy. Yet the film has already been finished and filmed, and she's only just been pregnant. So like they filmed it all with her. Apparently, I don't know when she was pregnant or when she wasn't, but they filmed it all when she was pregnant, then surely they would have got around that whole thing then, and not like after they already finished it, after post production and 2 months before the film comes out.
I didn't know Halle Berry was pregnant.
I did read somewhere that she was pregnant, but like if they filmed it all with all her scenes with her being pregnant, and then 2 months before the film, even less than 2 months before the film comes out, 6 weeks before the film comes out, they're like, oh wait a second, we gotta cut it all out because she's pregnant. The article didn't make sense,
Yeah.
Bryan Singer said the reason why she's cut out of the film is because she was pregnancy. Then why did you film her in the first place?
No.
But I don't know when she was pregnant. Was she pregnant when she was filming? Is she pregnant now? I have no idea. I knew she was pregnant in the last 6.
You want to add anything more to that, Ad?
I'm not really up in the whole lore of any comic book universes, so I'll trust your gentleman's
It's like
opinion.
I wouldn't say I'd trust my opinion because I was like a little kid when I was reading.
No, but you know
comics
more than I have ever even entertained of nothing. Literally, I know the films and that's it. The recent film. Obviously, I saw the X-Men cartoons went back in the day, but my memory's terrible now. Let alone friggin' 18 years ago.
Well, someone I know managed to give me every episode of the X-Men.
Hi.
It wasn't you.
I thought I did. I gave it to her all.
Somebody else did, I'm afraid.
Screw them.
Well, bit harsh.
Are they on Netflix?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch them.
I always think it sounds like the Crystal Maze theme song.
It does.
But what I was going to say, I don't read comic books. I think the only comic book I read was Tom and Jerry. But
Did Tom and Jerry have a comic?
I was about to say that.
yeah, they're like a little comic book magazine thing. But anyway, apart from that, I didn't read comics.
Yeah. Like it's like the children's one.
Yeah. I don't read comics, which I actually think is a good thing because I can now watch these X-Men films and obviously I only have like TV shows and the games that give me the trivia. Because I know like the Marvel Ultimate Alliance and X-Men Legends, I had like trivia games and obviously I learned stuff from there and whatnot. Obviously I think it's better for me because I can watch these films and I haven't got a basis. It's like an adaptation of everything, isn't it? If you read the Lord of the Rings books and then you imagine it one way, then you watch the films, it's different to how you imagined it when you read it. Obviously you're not going to like the films as much, are you?
Yeah.
With anything.
Yeah, I mean they're different mediums as well at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
So for me, I think it's quite it helps me not to have read comics.
Yeah, it does, but you know, I think because you know, we all studied filmmaking at college, and you know, I teach it now as well, to some degree, and
That was like a pun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like you're insulting yourself.
yeah, but you know, I'm not like a full blown lecturer. I just teach the interesting stuff. You know, but I appreciate what goes into making a film, and you know, I appreciate comic books from having read those, and you know, I appreciate all these things, and I think that there's nothing you can't adapt into a film. Whether you can adapt it into a good film or not is open for interpretation. But I loved the Xmen. You know, the Xmen were second only to Spider-Man when I was a kid. And we will see what Mr. Singer produces.
Yes. You've seen that, because I've seen Netflix are doing that, the Marvel TV series, aren't they? Seen those?
What's that?
Well, apparently they're coming out in the autumn or fall of 2015. Basically, they're going to have 13 episodes of 4 seasons. So the first one's going to be Daredevil. They'll have a 13-part miniseries of Daredevil, right?
Yeah.
But it's on Netflix, so you know it's not going to be like some kiddie shit. You know, they can do whatever the fuck they like with it. Make it dark, gritty and all this stuff. Then it'll be Jessica Jones, 13 episodes of Jessica Jones, which I don't really know anything about.
No, what movie is Jessica Jones?
I don't. I've heard of the name, but I don't really know what her powers are or not. And then it's like 13 episodes of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Then it'll be 13 episodes of Iron Fist. And then they'll bring it together to make the Defenders miniseries, which is another group of superheroes, you know, like the Avengers.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
The Defenders, you know, make a little universe to add to the Ultimate Marvel universe that they've got now. But it's going to be on Netflix are producing it, and obviously they're starting the whole casting process. And rumoured to be playing Luke Cage is Terry Crews.
Yeah, I heard that rumour, and I think he'd be perfect.
I think he'll be good because he's a good actor, he's got a good build, because obviously Luke Cage is fucking huge.
Yeah, he's a tank.
And Terry Crews said he would love to do it, so I'm thinking that's a good call. And obviously they've had loads of talk about Daredevil, but nothing major, because he's the first one apparently.
Well, at least they're not going to bring Ben Affleck back.
Because he's Batman now.
He's now Batman. I wonder if he'll do a silly Batman voice like Bale did.
So thinking about Ben Affleck in that Daredevil movie, I just can't imagine him as Batman.
I don't know.
I could before.
I wasn't
thought of
as-
him as Daredevil. I can't now. So-
I wasn't particular when people, you know, there was that big internet outcry about Ben Affleck being Batman.
I wasn't bothered.
I was thinking, well, you know, I remember thinking that George Clooney was an awesome casting as Batman, and don't get me wrong, he was, but the film that he was put in was shit, and they put nipples on his bat suit. You know, they didn't really give him much chance to be
Not
the
to make,
Batman that he
not to
could
make
have been.
myself sound gay, but everyone always outcried about the nipples, but I didn't even notice it or even care about the nipples in that film.
Why would it
Make you sound
you sound gay?
Because I don't know, they might say that I might like the nipples that are on George Clooney's
You didn't
chest.
say that. You made it sound like you were going to say that. And then you
Then
didn't.
you were like, I never
I
saw
was
him.
just, you know, maybe
yeah.
moving on. Ben Affleck.
Yeah, like I was the same. I wasn't bothered in the slightest. I was like, yeah, whatever, do it.
Well, I think it was.
And then I just thought about the Daredevil movie, and then I was like, I can't imagine it.
So I like the Daredevil movie. I think it's up.
I didn't like it. I don't know why. I
Up
can't
there.
remember it.
Oh, I could go into the Daredevil. I never really was a fan of Daredevil though. You know, he used to come up in the Spider-Man cartoon every so often. I always used to think, no, Daredevil's in it. You know.
So is his power that he's blind but he can see with his ears?
No, He's got like super senses because I watched the film like 2 weeks ago.
Naturally.
Of course.
Is this because Jennifer Garner's in it?
Well, no.
Okay.
Because Electra is shit. Because I watched that after Daredevil and it was boring as sad. I was on my phone like this and...
I don't think I ever actually watched all of Electra.
No, I didn't like. To be fair, the first like 15, 20 minutes is good until that little girl comes into it. Because then the film's not actually even about Electra.
I hate little girls in films.
But anyway, more about Daredevil. But it's like, obviously he's blind, but his like senses are like ridiculously great. He can like hear anything, any distance. But when you can only see when say like rain hits a surface. Because it makes a sound. So when a sound hits like a wall, so like my voice is hitting the wall, he can kind of, well, maybe not my voice, but you know.
So he's got like sonar.
So yeah, basically he's got like sonar because whenever like raindrops hit.
So there, he's going to be a perfect Batman then. Because bats use sonar.
That's true.
There you go.
You see, Ben Affleck, the perfect Batman, because he has sonar.
He's a great actor.
He's alright.
Oh, he's not he's a decent actor. It's not shit. I think he's better choice than some of the choices that there were for Batman. Rumored to be. That I can't remember now. Because I know there were some bad ones that are really like, yeah, this person's definitely up for the, in the top 3. I'm like, oh no, please don't. Then all of a sudden Ben Affleck came out of nowhere.
I know, nobody thought Ben Affleck was going to get offered it. I think one of the things that people thought was that Ben Affleck was going to get offered Batman and to direct it.
Yes.
Because he's established himself, he's established a good reputation as a director now.
Mm-hmm.
And for him not to be offered the directing, I mean, well, be interesting to find out what he thought about that.
Well, they got it in Zack Snyder's hands, so I ain't worried about the directing. Because I haven't seen a bad Zack Snyder film. Well, Legends of Guardians, but that's more of a kids' film, so quite classic.
What was he direct? Didn't he do Watchmen?
He did Watchmen.
I didn't like.
I know you didn't like. I loved that. And then he did Sucker Punch, which you would hate.
I haven't actually seen it, so
I would have lent it.
You keep telling me that I'll hate it, but
I know you won't like it.
I don't know.
And then
the blonde girl in it looks pretty fit, so.
And then that Legend of Guardians is about owls, but that's more of a kids' film, so that's probably why I didn't like it. They did 300.
I was going to say 300, but I didn't want to sound stupid for saying it.
Huh?
I was going to say 300, but I didn't want to sound stupid.
Yeah, he did 300, then he did Man of Steel.
What about 300?
That's it, Man of Steel. I
He
knew he's
just
done a big
produced
one.
it.
Oh, 302.
Yeah,
But it's because he's doing Batman. It's Batman versus Superman, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or that. Are they actually going to call it Batman versus?
No,
Superman?
that's just it's just at the moment it's like Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman. That's just like the internet name for it at the moment.
Superbat.
The untitled film, name. Instead of saying untitled Zack Snyder project, it's just Man of Steel 2 or
The Adventures of Clark and Bruce.
See, I wasn't a big fan of Man of
Sounds
Steel.
like a Foster's ad.
So I'm going to round this episode off by thanking you all for joining us for another jolly podcast. There will be more to come from us three, so until then,
Goodbye.
I will see you later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Adios.